So you find yourself working on something and you need gaskets for it. In my case, transmission for my car. Um, I've used Black Art TV on it, but it doesn't work so well. So what do? You get yourself a Cricut cutter, and I'm going to show you how to make gaskets using this cutter. First thing you're going to do is get a picture of the gasket surface that you need made. Make sure there's nothing obscuring the view of the gasket surface, like the rod right here. I could have removed it, but I just opted to shift my camera over a little bit and take a different photo. Now, in order to make the gasket, I like to use everybody's favorite image editing software, MS Paint. And we're going to go ahead and start drawing the outline around the gasket surface. For the bolt holes, I like to use the circle draw tool with a black outline and a white infill. This will help us later on when getting the gasket image finalized for cutting it out. I also like to use the circle draw tool with a black outline and a no infill to draw around where the bolts go through on the gasket surface. This just helps with making the design so I don't have to draw the curves by hand. The last thing you need to do to the image file before saving it is to erase all the internal circle lines. This will be needed before sending the file to get cut. Now that we're done in MS Paint, I like to go over to Paint 3D. It's got this handy tool called Magic Select. It allows you to pick parts of the image that you would like to keep and get rid of. It's pretty decent, but can also be very finicky at the same time. Also, make sure when you select yours, you deselect the bolt holes. That will help immensely later when sizing the image in the cutter program. Now that we have our official gasket, you want to save it with transparency enabled in the settings. It will ask you if you would like it when you save the file. Now we can import our gasket into our cutter program. I'm using Sure Cuts a Lot 5. It can be made to work with the Cricut cutters with some third-party plugins. Now I adjust it using this ruler tool. All this does is it'll show you the distance between the two areas you have selected. You can see that at the top, and I'm just moving it around. Sure Cuts a Lot has a mode that allows you to see the cut path. It is always wise to check this to make sure it's going to cut okay and not have any weird pathing errors or any other issues. Once we get everything adjusted to where we think it needs to be, we can send it and have our printer start cutting it. As you can see, the first cut has some issues with the X and Y adjustment. The second print, the X is much closer, but the Y is still off. And third time's the charm, and now our gasket fits perfectly.